All right, I think we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tristan. I am your resident AI nerd. I am bored, and honestly, that just means it's time for me to get into some trouble. We're going to see what we can do today. So, the idea here is that I want to build a parody LinkedIn account that just posts like you've seen those, like, kind of the meme posts, right? Where it's like, oh, I lost my toe in a blender accident. Here's what it taught me about B2B sales, right? Something like that. So I wanted to see if I can actually build something like that, but then also automate it and just make it into a little bit more fun. So just kind of playing around with these things a little bit, but let's kind of do this semi-seriously. So that being said, we're actually going to talk about a couple really interesting topics here. So we're going to talk a little bit. First, we're going to go through some data collection, data preparation, which is actually a really important part of doing anything with AI, because we need to be able to teach the AI what it is we want it to do, how we want it to do it, and all that kind of stuff. Next, so that's this section over here. So where we're going to get our information from, where we're going to store it, how we're going to categorize it, how we're going to organize it. Then we're going to move into how are we actually going to take that information and turn it into something quote unquote useful. And in this case, we're actually going to do kind of like a little basic agent setup, right? So we're actually going to have two AIs working together in order to create the story. So the first one is actually going to take the story from the, in this case, it can just be like a Google Sheet, and it's going to turn it into a hero's journey structured story. And then we're going to have a second AI, which is going to be our business guru, take that and then rewrite it based off of some sort of business lesson. We'll see if we can actually make the business lesson actually useful or not. And then I have some like title ideas and story kind of like template things over here that are ready to go. And then we're just going to take that and we're going to post it to LinkedIn via Zapier using a dummy account that I just set up. And we're going to see how this goes. I have been warned and advised many times that this will get the accounts, like my LinkedIn account, like shut down and banned and deplatformed and everything else. And I'm cool with that. Like, personally, I think LinkedIn is super boring. I don't get any like enjoyment out of it. I've met some cool folks on there, but it's very, very rare, and it's probably just because I'm not super active on it. But this is what happens when I have free time, power, and I am bored. So let's kind of start working with this and kind of work through this process together. It's probably going to be kind of long and boring. Well, it's going to be long, at least, because we're going to actually build this thing together. Hopefully it won't be boring, just because the topic matter. This is actually a really interesting thing that I talk to a lot of my YouTube clients about. So for those who are newer to the channel who don't know me personally, I actually do YouTube marketing, consulting, that kind of thing professionally. And that's one of the reasons I got into AI as much, is just because I found a lot of really interesting applications for this in order to make life a little bit easier. But one of the things that I kind of look for, and like one of the problems I've been trying to solve, is like, how do you make boring content more interesting, more engaging? And I actually found the best way to do that is to do boring stuff in an interesting way, or in an interesting circumstance. It's like, yeah, we could just talk about, formatting Google Sheets or whatever, then using that to feed an AI and this other kind of stuff. But instead, we're going to make a bot that uses like Jerry Springer episodes in order to teach business lessons, because that's doing something boring in an interesting way. So that's the plan here, and I'm actually pretty excited about this. That being said, I kind of have three main ideas. Well, okay, before I get into that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to kind of come up with our inspiration database. We need to figure out where we're going to get the stories from, how are we going to populate this thing so that way that the AI actually has some like real stories, some real stuff that it can pull from and use for its generated content. So first three things that came to mind for me were like Jerry Springer episodes, Reddit stories, and then also just doing searches for Florida Man and seeing what pops up. A fun activity, if you're ever bored, is Google Florida Man and then your birthday and see what Florida Man was doing on your birthday. You always get a kick out of it. So I'm thinking I'm going to take these things, kind of turn them into a topic, and like a general topic, and then like maybe a category, and then like a description of the actual thing, and feed that into Google Sheets. Once that's done, I think it'd probably be good to add in a couple additional elements to that, a couple additional columns. One is going to be for whether or not the story has already been done, just so we're not repeating stuff. And then also a ranking system, so that way like we can kind of take these things and say, okay, so out of a scale of craziness from 1 to 10, where does this actually lie? So that way we have more interesting, more engaging, and kind of funnier content that we can then post to LinkedIn. So that's kind of step one. I've gone through a little bit looking for information like Jerry Springer episodes and stuff. So I got 50 episodes here, which is a pretty good start. KT's social media habits place him and his relationships in a sticky situation. Heather suspects that her cousin might be making advances towards her girlfriend. Wow, that's all over the place. So something like this, something we can kind of tear apart. I think this is a pretty good start. The other thing we can do is, so there's a site called Kaggle without a W. And this is an amazing website. So if you're ever doing anything like serious or even less serious, like what we're doing right now, then this is an amazing resource just because it has databases on pretty much anything you can think of. Let's see, Florida Man. I wonder if this is going to pop up. I want to see Reddit Florida Man. Post from the Florida Man subreddit. Please be what I'm looking for. Florida woman backing up out of driveway hits gas instead of brake, plows in the house across it. Perfect. So like some of these things we're gonna want to remove just because like we don't want to do anything like we don't care about racism. We don't want to do anything that's gonna be like inappropriate. We don't want any like sexual content or anything like that. We want the silly stuff, right? That's what we're shooting for here. So let's grab this. And we're going to dump that in here as well. Let's do... What's another good... Let's see if they have Jerry Springer in here by any chance. Here's aggressive philosophy, products and ideas. Nothing really there. Let's do crazy stories. Is there anything in here? Nah, okay. So Kaggle is really cool just because, like I said, you can find just about anything in here. We could also do things like Pokemon data sets, right? There's all kinds of interesting stuff, and then we can just come over here to the sets and say, okay, we want to select all the CSV stuff. So here's images of all of the Pokemon. Here are the complete Pokemon data set things. Another version of that. Oh, there's a whole bunch of these. So like if you wanted to build an app or something or teach an AI all about Pokemon battles, then this would work. We could also do stuff like LinkedIn, which pops up for LinkedIn. Coming here to data sets, tech jobs, job posting, skills and stuff. Yeah, that's all kind of boring. That's not really something we're looking for. We want to do the silly stuff. So, what I did with this then is I just went through and kind of copy and pasted everything into this, but into Google Sheets, which is what we're going to use eventually. But I think we're actually going to do that in here instead. So I've got that part in here. So what I did is I just took it and I copy pasted it and said, hey, keep right or turn this into a list of topics and descriptions. I think that's a little bit too vague. Let's do something like try to follow this format. So we'll say episode name. So we'll go like this. Then we'll do we'll say like episode summary description, like that, and please export this as a CSV. Well, no, we'll hold off on that part because I want to see it finished first. And we're going to grab that. We're going to grab this. So we're just going to drop this down a couple of times so it kind of has an idea of what it is we want it to do. And say, here's the content. like that. Scroll back down to the bottom of this thing. We should also say like this. Please also remove anything that's sexual, or we'll say sexual, abusive, or what would be another good term or thing that we'd want to kind of remove for this. Sexual, abusive, or violent. Well, guess we could do some violent stuff. Yeah. We'll leave it like that and we'll see how it looks. Now I was going to go through, and out of the 50 video or episodes, it's probably going to give us like 5, but that's okay. But yeah, so like there's some stuff in here that we're going to want to kind of remove. So like there's going to be a little bit of manual stuff to that. And to be honest, probably going through and getting this out of Jerry Springer probably wasn't the best of ideas, but it's too late. Here we are. This is what we're doing. So let me grab this other file real quick. I'm going to take a look at that. So fun LinkedIn parodies. Here's our archive. We're going to extract all of that. That's fine. And then this is our Florida Man database. Oh, those haven't been scored. I wonder what the scores represent. Oh, there's so many of these things. Okay, so we don't need the URLs. We could probably get rid of those. So let's get this. I think we're just going to use this, to be honest. Let's go back over here. And we can actually go ahead and get rid of that column 2 because we don't need it. So what I think we can do with this then, let's save this. Save as Florida Man, that's fine. I don't want to save it over there. Go away. Shh. Stupid thing. Okay, so that's going to go in here. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning just towards the Florida Man thing. So like there are a couple things in here that aren't like great just because they're kind of boring. But we do have 42,000 of these things. And honestly, if we were to keep it just as a document like this, we'd probably actually have fewer steps. We wouldn't have to go through and do all the extra stuff. Like all of this is having like the sheet or everything attached to it, because we could just build that into. So like, so here's what I'm thinking, right? So right now, the idea would be that we'd have like a Google Sheet, and we'd have to go through and add content to that sheet in order for the AI to pull ideas for the different bits of content from it. That is an option. There are some benefits to that. We would be able to continuously update that sheet. We'd be able to add new content to it. And so like there are definitely going to be use cases where this would be like the preferred method. But and like especially if you're going to be doing something for like your business, especially if you're trying to do something that is going to have actual and updated information, where this is just a parody account where we're just looking to be silly, we probably don't need this level of sophistication built into the system, if we're being totally honest. Like if I was only able to find like 50 posts, you know, as like story ideas, yeah, sure, then that's one of the things that we'd be wanting to pay attention to. However, that is not the case. We have 42,774 stories in here. Obviously, we're going to filter some of that out, but we kind of have a lot of content here that we could potentially use. I don't think we're going to be running out anytime soon. Florida woman attacks husband with spatula, throws chicken in swimming pool. Yeah. All right. So, like I said, I think we've got a pretty rich supply of content ideas right here for us. I don't think we need to do anything extra in general. That being said, if you were to do this for your business, or if you were to do this for like an actual YouTube account or LinkedIn account or whatever, you'd probably want something closer to this. And then your traffic, like your actual like content ideas, you probably do something like either manually adding things to the sheet, using something like Harpa to take content and then push that into the sheet, or additionally using something like a Google Alert, and then having some sort of a automation built into that in order to take that content and then add it to, again, a Google Sheet or whatever. You could also do something similar to what I've been doing with my my super assistant project, which, come to think about it, I haven't talked about it much on this channel yet. But with that, then what I'm doing is I'm actually having so I'm sending it to an AI. The AI goes through and formats everything, and then I'm using Zapier and API calls to actually take that output, to take that formatted document and then upload it to OpenAI's file system, and then assign that file to my assistant, so that way it's automatically added to its knowledge base. And I'm actually doing that with my Zoom calls, which has been extremely valuable. We'll have to talk about that here another day. I tried recording a video on it yesterday. It was like an hour long, and I only got through like half the stuff that I've built so far, and it was just way too long-winded. But that being said, looking at this, I think what would be an easier and probably better approach would be this. So we will take all these. We're going to remove that. Well, I don't want to remove it just because it's used. Screw it, or remove it. Don't hesitate. Just go. So we're going to just have a topic chooser, and then that's going to go through our data, or just going to go through the CSV. I'll move this over here so I can kind of explain what the process and like the steps are going to be. So it's going to first go through the CSV, and then after that it's going to choose a topic at random, like that, and then it's going to take that topic and then it's going to give it to the story writing AI. I kind of like that just because then we're kind of separating things a little bit. I kind of want each AI to have like its own specific tasks in this process. So that was a lot easier than I was expecting it to be. This video just got a lot shorter and simpler, but hey, that's a good thing. So we've got this. We don't need this anymore. Thank you, Kaggle, for being amazing. What we need to do now is we need to start building some assistants. So an assistant is basically a custom GPT, only they are significantly smarter and more powerful, and they can do a whole bunch of really useful stuff, and they're really cool. So we're going to create 3 of these guys today. The first one we're going to do is we're going to do our topic selection. And then we're also going to create our storyteller. Oh, my eye. Ah! And then finally, we're going to create our business guru. And then these 3 AIs are going to work together in order to create our actual stories. So let's start here. We're going to file search and code interpreter. Make sure those things are turned on. We need to upload a file to this, which is just going to be our Florida Man archive. Like that. Okay, and now we're going to give it its instructions. Your job is really simple. You just pick a Florida Man story from from the Florida_man.csv file at random. If you're unsure about how to pick a file or a row at random, just use the date. Just use today's date. And I only want you to trying to think the best way to say this. I only want it to choose the story and like state it, like make any formatting changes that it needs to. But I don't want it to say anything else like, okay, here's your story or whatever. We only want it to give us the story. Only provide the story and nothing else. But make any formatting changes that may be necessary to the story title. Like that. And then one of the things we can do to help with this is if we turn down our temperature to like that, then that'll work just fine. So there's the topic selector. Let's test this real quick. Give me a topic. Or not a topic, a story. Oh well. And I'm actually thinking of switching this over to this model. Appeals court upholds conviction of Florida man that robbed coin laundry, fled with loot and plastic pumpkin. I love this thing already. Okay, perfect. So that's good. We're going to come back over here then. That's our topic selector. And then the one thing I want to do with this is change the model to GPT-4o Mini. Perfect. All right, so there's number one. We're going to take this and we're going to copy that and we're going to come back to this later. So our topic selector assistant like that. Did I make two of these things? I may have just deleted another one. That's fine. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated. So this is going to be our storyteller. Actually, I should probably name these things. LA project topic selection. LA project storyteller. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit different. You are a creative and unique storyteller. I want you to take the given prompt and create a full story based on it. I want you to follow the hero's journey outline / framework for the story. So make sure you are actually following each step in that process. In order to do this, we need to make sure that it has a larger... Can we make any adjustments to that? No. I want to see if there's a way that we could expand its output, but that's okay. So, that being said, I actually have this right here. So the hero's journey, kind of just your traditional there we go. Grabbing this off of Grammarly real quick. So the hero's journey is basically just like the most common outline for telling a story. So this is going to be things like Star Wars follows the hero's journey. Hunger Games, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a good example. Probably Star Wars is like the most commonly known example, right? So we'll walk through this real quick. So the call to adventure, Luke is, on the desert planet of Tatooine, and he's just kind of chilling. He doesn't really know what's going on. And he knows that there's stuff going on in the world, but he doesn't really, he's not really directly involved in it, right? One day he comes across a couple of droids, and one of the droids says that he needs to be returned to his actual owner, a dude named Obi-Wan Kenobi. But Luke doesn't know an Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he knows an old Ben Kenobi, and so he decides to go out and deliver or help those droids return to Ben, right? Or like R2-D2 escaped and he went looking for it. Refuses the call, so when Obi-Wan said, hey, you could be a Jedi Knight just like your father, and Luke goes, no, I can't do that. My aunt and my uncle need me, and we got to do all this other stuff. And like kind of the order's a little bit different with this, right? that's so the next step would actually be meeting the mentor. That's when he would meet or start working with Obi-Wan in order to become a Jedi. So that's like the scene on the Millennium Falcon when he's starting his training. Crosses the threshold, that's when he has to go and actually start, something happens where he's not able to go back, right? So, I mean, this is kind of still going in that same spot. Like, kind of these two are a little bit reversed in Star Wars. Crossing the threshold, that's when stormtroopers took out his aunt and uncle, right? That's when you start running into test allies and enemies. That's all the challenges, that's all the trials, that's all the other stuff. It's getting to know who Darth Vader is, getting to learn a little bit about Palpatine or Darth Sidious, that whole thing. Approaching the innermost cave, approaching the innermost cave of darkness, like literally Star Wars. The ordeal, facing the big challenge, the reward, the road back, and everything else. So this one actually adds a couple of extra steps. A lot of times you'll only see these as being 5 specific steps, but I'm actually a little bit tempted to just go after the 5 steps because it's a little bit simpler. But this is okay. We're going to test this first. I'm going to see how it goes. Here is the 12-step framework for the hero's journey. Bum, bum, bum. Drop. Cool. So now we have that in there. We're going to go ahead and save that. So before we do, we're going to keep this other guy open. We're going to come back over here to our chat. We're going to choose our new topic selector. Give me a topic or a story, please. I was going to go through and it's going to find a story. Alright, so it kept the same one. It's probably because it's based on the date, but that's fine. So we'll go ahead and grab that. We're going to come back over here to our new one, the storyteller. We're going to clear that. Here's your prompt. Cool. Excellent. So let's grab our notepad of truth and justice real quick. Drop that over here. We're going to grab this. So all I'm doing is I just have my notepad where I'm kind of keeping track of all this, just so we can kind of see how the different parts and pieces are fit together. We don't have to go back and redo stuff. But that's kind of a boring story. Let's see if we can jack up the temperature a little bit. We'll do like 120, and then we'll refresh that. We'll give that the story. Eric, it is time to claim what is rightfully yours. All clues point towards the clear water coin laundry at midnight. Goodness. We've got some intrigue already. Excellent. So that part's done. We're good with that. Next thing we need to do then, actually we're going to let this thing finish. Well, that's fine. We can let that go. Next we need to create our LI project. This is going to be our business guru. Okay, your instructions. You will receive a story. Your job is to take that story and turn it into a parody of a business lesson. For example, do we want to give it like a really good example right off the bat? Probably not. We'll say something like, for example, I lost my shoe on an elevator and learned an important lesson about multi-channel social media automation, something like that. The idea is to be we'll say the idea is to be like the idea is for it to be a parody, but we also want it to kind of level things up a little bit, kind of take things not to a super high extreme, but to a level that's probably not going to be expected. However, I still want it to be at least a little bit like plausible and like to kind of fit with the overall concept, and for like the stories to actually be like, you know, maybe that does actually make some sense. Like that actually is an interesting, valuable lesson to have learned. So that like the question is, how do you put that into an instruction that an AI can understand and follow consistently? So I'd probably say something like, the idea is for you to take this story and tell it yourself as if you were, and then we'll create a persona for this as well. So just say persona. And explain how you learned a valuable business life lesson from it. I think it kind of already did that, didn't I? Let's get rid of this. Let's grab that, get rid of this. I feel like I just repeated myself. This might have been a waste. We'll at least put our format it a little bit better. So, you are a business guru. You will receive a story that's a little crazy and out there. However, your task is to take that story and tell it, whoops, no, don't go full screen. And tell it yourself as if you were persona and explain how you learned a valuable business lesson from it. For example, I lost my shoe in an elevator and learned an important lesson about multi-channel social media automation. Make sure that your posts comply with LinkedIn's content policies, just to be safe. We don't so you don't get banned for posting these. And assume that your stories aren't creative enough, so you need to bump the creativity up by 3 notches. What else could we tell this thing to do? Oh, wait, I did have some other resources here, right? So some story adaptations. These are some of the other types of stories that might work for this thing to play around with. Oh, you're in the wrong spot. That's why you need to go to the back. Like that. Copy this. Here are some story ideas that might be helpful. Story ideas frameworks. All right, so we need to create a persona for this thing real quick. So let's head back over to this. We'll create a new chat. I need to create a parody persona of a business guru. One of those fake sounding people on LinkedIn that turn everyday activities into some kind of profound business life changing experiences and shares the lessons learned in the process. Bradley Silverman, The Office Oracle. It's pretty good. This morning I found a single paperclip on my desk. At first it seemed insignificant, but then I realized a paperclip's true power lies in its ability to hold things together. In business, even the smallest actions can create strong connections and hold everything in place. Be the paperclip in your organization. All right, so I think that's good. I think the one thing we're going to change are the signature phrases and the skill sets. So let's copy this just in case. I'm going to drop that again into our notepad. I like the direction we're going, but let's adjust the signature phrases and the skill sets. This person doesn't realize that they sound crazy. They think they are legitimately sharing profound information, but it's really just that they found a paperclip or did something stupid. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like the signature phrases. I kind of feel like that needs to be crazier. Good, but dial up the phrases and skills to 11. Just gonna give us the whole thing over again. Yep. Okay, we'll just wait for a minute. And while that's thinking, let's see if we can come up with anything else. My chats tend to be really, really calm and quiet, but I'm sure we can come up with something. Only give me back the phrases. Let's only focus on the phrases for now. They're still not quite right. I'm trying to think. Give me another, 20 examples, but make them crazier and more unique. Those are better. Okay, so we're going to grab these And we're going to adjust the persona just a smidgen. We're going to do signature phrases. We're going to do this instead. And actually, I think that's okay. Like, I'm not super happy with like the skills, but that's not a huge deal either. So let's grab that. We'll come back over here to this. Here is the persona data. Like that. I'll also say, additionally, when you create your stories, I'll say like only provide the story content. Do not add or say anything else, because your response will be automatically posted to LinkedIn and won't receive any additional formatting. So saying something like, sure, here's your story, is totally unacceptable. Unacceptable. Boom. Like that. Okay, so let us test this guy real quick. And we're going to give him his story. Oh, wait, we should have named him first. What was his name? Bradley Silverman. Like that. Okay, now let's get the story that the AI provided for us. Like so. And we're going to drop this into here and run. Okay, so I need to make one other adjustment to this as well then. Also, ignore any formatting that comes from the story that you receive. Only tell the story using normal formatting as if it were a LinkedIn post. Okay, so let's actually try this again. Drop the story in here. Resend that. I should tell it to use like it. No, it's still screwing it up. Okay. Let's clear that out again. Let's go back to the storyteller. Note. Tell the story organically and that's how you spell organically. Organically and fluidly. Do not title the different sections of the stories or the story like that. Why did this crash? All right, so give me the story from yesterday. Okay, Florida man behind bars for legit going more than 100 miles per hour to impress girlfriend. Who hasn't? All right. So I'll send the story. And now we are running into problems because our temperature is too high. So let's bring that back down to 1. And let's cancel that because otherwise it will keep going. So let's really get to the top. Actually, it's already saved. Let's clear that. We'll send out our story. One of these is again, remember it's Control Enter to send these. We could add to this that the protagonist's name in every case is the protagonist's name should always be, what was this guy's name? Bradley Silverman. Excellent. Here's our story. Clear that. Go back to here. Here's our business guru. Here's your story, Mr. Business Guru. Is there a way to change this? No. Okay. Okay. Let's see how this turned out. So there's our story. Here is the actual post coming then from the business guru. From reckless endeavors to meaningful connections, how a risky ride taught me the value of authentic leadership. Okay, I like it. In the bustling business world, we often hear about the importance of passion, vision, and taking risks. Let me take you on a journey that taught me that perhaps the most profound lesson of all, the power of authentic leadership. I'm very curious to see how this goes because the story is about him getting arrested. So, years ago, I found myself working in a small town marina, a seemingly tranquil existence in Ocean Breeze, Florida. Yet, like many young professionals, I felt an unquenchable restlessness. One evening, a chance encounter with a free-spirited new arrival named Felicity ignited a desire to impress her with a daring adventure. I should tell it to randomize the names. Borrowing my uncle's vintage red convertible, I set out to give Felicity a thrilling ride through the coastal highway, determined to hit 100 miles per hour. The thrill was intoxicating, but the outcome was disastrous. A police chase, handcuffs, and a night in jail. I'm just worried that if somebody like Googles this and they go, man drives, whatever, like they're just going to see these are all just Florida stories, that might make it funnier for people who are willing to go and do the research, but I'm also a little bit concerned about having people's actual names being here. When it's, if that makes sense. But that's easy enough to change too. Like we can just come back over here to the storyteller and we can tell it to, let's reload this. Tell it to randomize any other names. All other names in the story. Although with this, I'm trying to remember if that was actually the person's name or if it just made that up. I don't know. I'll have to go back and double check. Okay, so sitting in a cold cell, the rush of adrenaline replaced by regret, I was approached by an older, wiser inmate. His words resonated with me. Real bravery is facing your own fears and doing right by those you care about. This simple truth struck a chord. Here I was trying to impress through reckless actions, yet failing to recognize the deeper value in being my true self. Released the next day, thanks to some connections, I sought out Felicity and owned up to my mistakes. Rather than grand gestures, our adventures became about genuine experiences. Night fishing, exploring hidden coves, and simply enjoying each other's company. This pivotal moment shaped my professional philosophy. As I matured, so did my approach to business. I began organizing safe driving workshops and became an advocate for community and road safety, leveraging my personal transformation to make a wider impact. Business insights from a life lesson. Authenticity over daring feats. Just as in business, people value authenticity over showy, risky endeavors. Be genuine, and the right opportunities and connections will follow. Relationship building success is rooted in meaningful relationships, whether with customers, colleagues, or stakeholders. Invest time in maturing genuine connections based on trust and mutual respect. Learning from my failure, my near disastrous ride taught me that failures are not the end, but the beginning of true learning and transformation. Embrace mistakes as stepping stones to growth. Community impact matters. Leveraging personal experiences to benefit the wider community can redefine your leadership. It's not just about profits, but the positive change you bring to the world. And my final thoughts: don't get caught up improving yourself through reckless risks. Instead, strive to be honest, impactful, and fearlessly authentic. True leadership is about being real, facing your fears, and doing right by those around you. This journey of self-discovery and redemption shaped the leader I am today, and it can do the same for you. Hashtag leadership, hashtag authenticity, hashtag lessons learned. Coming from an AI that completely made this entire story up based off of a single post from /Reddit Florida Man. So I think it'll work. I'd kind of like to dial it up a little bit more. Like, it's still a little bit too plausible, if that makes sense. I want it to be a little bit crazier, but I think this is a good step, and we kind of want to move forward with this process. So far, let's take a look at our plan. We have our topic chooser done. We have our story writer done. We have our story adaptation. Need some tweaks. Next thing we need to do is we need to actually post this thing to LinkedIn. That is where things get really fun. First thing we're going to do is we are going to create a fake LinkedIn account right here. Now, unfortunately, this character is named Tristan Goodwin. We're going to make some adjustments to this, and we're going to edit things a smidgen. Edit my content. We're going to change this guy's name to... Can I change this at all? How do I actually change this? Alright, cool. So the dude's name was Bradley Silverman. So I was looking for the silver lining. Bradley Silverman. Pronouns. They, them, because he's a robot. I wonder if it'll let me do this. Beep. Bop. Please let me do that. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave all the rest of it because I don't mind it being like attached to my silliness. We'll just say influencer. Okay. Consulting. Business consulting. Perfect. Nope, we don't care about that. Cool. So, next thing we need to do is we need to actually connect all these AIs together, set up a trigger for it, and then we're also going to attach this thing to our new LinkedIn profile. This is where things get kind of fun. So we're going to go to Zapier because it's the easiest place to do it. Let's go to my Zaps. We're going to call this an internal Zap because... No, this is a project Zap. We are working right now. Project Zaps. Create a new Zap. And I think we can actually fit everything into a single Zap here. So we're going to call this a scheduler. We want this thing to go out once a day. Come on, there we go. Let's say every day. The time of day, we're going to have this thing go out at like 7 a.m. Trigger on weekends. Yeah. Bradley's a bit like a serious LinkedIn influencer dude. Cool. So whenever that thing's done, it's going to trigger all this stuff. Now, the first thing we need to do, excuse me, I'm drinking my soda pop, is we need to trigger our first storyteller. So we're going to pull in the ChatGPT. We are going to have a conversation with an assistant. You'll need to log into your account and everything. I'm just going to say, Please give me the story for today. Like that, and then date. We're going to choose our assistant. The first one we're going to do is our topic selector. Everything else is fine. We're going to leave that as is. We're going to select this as the GPT-4 Mini because it's the cheapest one. We don't need to do anything else with that. Continue and test the step. It should give us back our story topic. Hopefully. Come on, little buddy. You can do it. Done. All right. And then its response is... Florida man burned after his dog catches fire. Wow. Okay. So that's what we're looking for, is that full response tag. So we're going to come back over here. Get our next step. We're actually going to add another chat GPT. And we're actually going to do basically the same thing. Conversation with an assistant. Here is your story prompt. Space. Scroll all the way down. We want the full response. And then we're going to choose our assistant, and the assistant is going to be the storyteller. We don't need to mess with anything else. Click continue. Test the step. It's going to take a little bit longer to go through, so we're actually going to work on the next one as we're waiting. Let's name these. Topic AI. Storyteller AI. And then this one is going to be the Guru AI. I'm going to switch this action. We can actually just pull that one out. Grab this one. We're going to scroll down all the way down again to the full response. Like that. And then we'll actually just drop that down just for better formatting so we can come and check on it later on if we need to. We're going to switch this out to the Business Guru. That's fine. Continue, and we're going to test that step. So let's take a look at this real quick. Go back to our test. Scroll down to full response. There's our story. Excelente. Chévere. All right, so now this one's writing out its response, and we'll let that thing run for just a minute too as we are waiting. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab LinkedIn, and we're going to say post a status update sharing some content. That's what we want. We're going to change this though because we want to connect a different account to this. Let's move this thing over here. That's the right password I made for this thing, isn't it? Let me double check. Just gotta check. I don't need notifications. I want to see the account info. Alright, I might need to create a password real quick. In 1 second here. Sorry, this is the boring part. Pin. Just gotta log into this thing real quick, like that. Submit. Password. Alright, just connecting all this stuff through Zapier real quick so that way everything's all like actually plugged in. There we go. Action. So what is the comment? So I'll add in the comment here. I think this is the right way to do it. About anyone is fine. We don't care about a title. We don't care about anything else. Continue. Test the step. Let's go ahead and bring our boy back over here. There's our URL. Let's check it out. Done. It's finished. All right, so does look like we cut out at the end, so we might need to make a couple of adjustments just to make the stories a little bit shorter. Because apparently we hit a limit, and that limit could either be from LinkedIn, but it's probably actually coming from this. Like the titles might just be too long. Yeah, because it shut off the end of environmental stewardness right there. So we might need to go back and tell the AI to keep things under like, let's see if we can reduce. It's like, how many characters is this? Let's ask. How many characters are in this? $3,002. Okay, so I'll just tell this to keep the stories under. However, you must keep these stories under 2,500 characters in length. Like that, and then also let's add that to this set of instructions. That. Done. All right, and that should do the trick. So let's do a quick review of everything we've got done so far. First thing we did is we got our topic chooser. That is our first AI. We did that by finding a database of Florida man posts on Reddit, and then we grabbed that CSV, did a little bit of cleaning on it, like we pulled out some stuff, took that and we uploaded that into a custom assistant in the OpenAI Assistants dashboard platform thing. From there, we have that output. So we have the story that the topic, or excuse me, we have the topic that the story chooser. Okay, let me try that again. We have the story that the topic chooser selects based off of the date, and then it goes through and it creates a story based off of that topic, and then it takes that story and it sends it to the business guru, and then the business guru tries to turn that into a business lesson through all of these, and then we take all of that and we post it into LinkedIn. And the way that we are doing that is actually really simple. We are doing that through Zapier. So in Zapier, it's again a really simple setup. We have a daily trigger, so every day at about 7:30, I think is what we put it to. then it will trigger this entire system. First, it will trigger the topic AI to create a topic. That topic is then sent to the storyteller. The story is sent to the guru, and then the guru posts it to LinkedIn. Now, stop. That's not what I want. There are a couple things I'd like to add to this that will probably be things that we'll do a little bit later on down the road. I would like for it to be able to have some sort of an insight into current topics. So, for example, big things happening in the news cycle or whatever. I think that would be really useful. The other thing I'd want this thing to do is to be able to pull information from the analytics from its posts and be able to determine which posts got the most engagement and got the most, likes, comments, shares, that kind of stuff, and the most impressions. And then have it go through and take that information, take that feedback, so that way the next time it's writing a story, then it considers that as part of its process. So we want to basically take a loop, right, from this data right here, and then feed that back into these other three, so that way they all become a little bit smarter as this thing goes, which I think is really, really cool. The only thing is that I would need to find a good way to do that. There are some options for it, but I need to kind of play with some of my different toys and see what I can come up with. Kind of the base, or like the simplest approach that comes to mind, is to set up like a Google Doc, and then have these AIs, so like have one AI then go and get the data from the analytics and summarize it and kind of give like details about like which post did well, kind of come up with why things those posts did well, and then recommendations for what the next series could do. Have it take all that information, save that to the Google Doc, and then with these, as it's going through and as we are pulling in basically we'd have to add in an extra step up here where we have an AI go through and pull out, well, probably wouldn't even need the AI to do it, but to include the text from that document as part of these initial prompts. So saying something like, topics about this, whatever, tend to do really well. We probably wouldn't actually want to include that with the topic AI, though, just because we wouldn't want it to go back and redo past stories, like past topics. We want it to pick something different every time. So we'd probably take that and actually feed that into these two AIs, so that way it performs a little bit better. But we'd want that to influence these stories and not override their built-in instructions. So that would be one of the other things we'd need to pay attention to as well. But again, like I said, I think that's kind of a next level type thing. That's where we're kind of getting a little bit more into these AIs that learn and improve over time. The other thing I need to be 100% sure of is if there is actually a way to pull your analytics from LinkedIn into Zapier or into something else automatically. So that way we don't have to actually come in here and do that ourselves. So that is the goal. We'll make sure to publish this. That way it is now turned on and this thing is now live. And if anybody wants to, then I would invite you to go and follow Bradley Silverman on LinkedIn. He's bound to be really, really interesting. He already has 5 post impressions. Good job, Bradley. And I think that'll do it for this video. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to include with this. Really, I realize that this is a dumb project. I realize this is kind of a dumb thing to be dedicating time and energy to. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of value in playing with technology. I think there's a lot of value in experimenting and having fun with stuff, because what's going to happen is you're going to be getting that dopamine feedback from your process, right? From the actual task and things that you're doing. It's not just, okay, I need to sit down and figure out how to do, how to upload or update a Google Sheet with my whatevers. This is actually something fun. It's kind of exciting. And it's still going through and it's teaching you the process, right? The important thing here is the process. Yeah, we're doing something a little dumb, but we're having fun with the process behind it. We need to go make him a profile picture too. And so by having fun learning the process, then when it comes time to do this for a serious project, right? You already know what the process is. You already know what steps you need to follow. You already have some experience doing it. And so that process, when you do it for reals, for a serious thing, is going to be significantly faster and easier because you already have that experience. You've already done this. You just did it in a kind of a different format, right? So that's really why I think these kinds of things are valuable. Is why I like going for some of these kind of sillier type tasks, and I just personally think there's a lot of value behind that. So hopefully you guys have gotten some helpful information out of this. Hopefully this all has made sense and you've learned something really cool. Hopefully this has been a fun and enjoyable project, and hopefully it's giving you that little bit of dopamine, so that way it made it a little bit easier to remember all of this. If you do have any other questions for me, or if you want to chat some more, and if you want to see some of these other silly projects, then I'd recommend that you come and join my Facebook group. It is known as the ChatGPT Cult. You can find us on facebook.com/group/ChatGPT Cult. I post weird stuff in here all the time. Like, one of the things that we're looking at doing is figuring out how we can get one of those singing fish. If there's a way we could attach an AI to that, I think that would be hilarious and make it, like, talk. If we can make it sing, even better. Like, that would be fun. But, that's when we're going to start looking at things like, okay, so, how do you attach an AI to this? How do you get an AI to be able to control this thing? How do you get your interaction with it? And that's when we're going to have to start playing around with stuff like, hey, maybe I'm going to have to get one of those Raspberry Pi things. One of my brothers is really into that kind of stuff. Maybe there's something we can build together and then squeeze it into this thing so it actually talks. I think that would be hilarious. We could put Cynthia in there. But yeah, so like I said, as far as like news and project updates and just kind of things that are going on in the AI world, then this is where I'm posting a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm a lot more active in here than I am on YouTube, unfortunately, just because YouTube takes a little bit of time. But yeah, you can do all kinds of silly stuff in here. And again, this is where I'm posting some of these sillier ideas and applications. And there is a science and reason behind that. It's not just me being weird. So that being said, I have to get ready for a call. I have to actually do some real work today. And I think Bradley Silverman is ready for the big time. So that being said, I hope you all have an excellent day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.